Okay, switching over from Windows to the Mac isn't as intimidating as it might seem at first. So let's make macOS finally feel like home step by step, starting with a small step that makes a big difference. Initially, it might seem like there's no right-click on Mac, but like on Windows, the right-click gives you a wealth of options, and there are actually several ways to do it. The way Apple wants you to do it is by holding down the Control key and clicking your trackpad or mouse. But if you own a trackpad, it's much easier to just two-finger tap. And if you own a so-called magic mouse, the right-click is, for whatever reason, deactivated by default. Click the Apple logo in the top left corner and go to System Settings. Scroll down until you find Mouse, and you can set Click Right Side for the secondary click. The magic mouse will now work like any other mouse. Now, the taskbar on Windows bundles widgets, Windows Search, apps, quick settings, and notifications into one single place. You'll more or less find all those things on your new Mac, but they're more widely spaced. Let me explain. Just like Windows Taskbar, where you can pin apps, the Mac has its dock. It also anchors, to stick with the metaphor, your most used apps. Now, you'll find all apps downloaded to your Mac on the Launchpad, comparable to the iPhone home screen. You can drag and drop any of those apps into your dock for quick access. Likewise, you can drag and drop any app that you don't need there out of your dock. The section further right shows you up to 3 recently used or currently open apps that you haven't permanently placed in your dock yet. And on the rightmost side, you'll have your trash bin, where you can drag and drop any file to delete it from your Mac, which also changes to a disk ejector when this happens to be a disk. Now on Windows, you've probably pinned certain folders to your start menu for quick access. And you can do the same here. By default, you already have your downloads folder here, but you can drag and drop any folder into this section of the dock. And pro tip, you can right-click that folder and select a viewing option like Fan, Grid, or List. Now that concludes the dock. Both the notification area and widgets board in the Windows taskbar are bundled in the Mac's notification center. Swipe with 2 fingers from the right edge of your trackpad or click the time and date in the top right corner. Here you'll find a list of recent notifications, and below are your widgets, which you can personalize to your needs using drag and drop. Closing the notification and opening the so-called control center, this one gives you access to a few quick settings, which you previously might have found in your Windows taskbar. Sound outputs, display brightness, Wi-Fi networks, and Bluetooth connections can all be changed from here without having to open the system settings. And for one-click access, you can drag and drop specific options next to the control center icon. It's as easy as that. Speaking of which, Windows Search, which is prominently placed in the taskbar too, has its Mac equivalent with Spotlight Search. And many people, especially Mac users, might say it's even better. Let me show you. Wherever you are on your Mac, pressing Command plus the spacebar brings up a pop-up search bar. And this one really does magic. You can find basically anything on your Mac and even beyond. Simply starting with apps, settings, files, or even text within files. What's more, you can visually search your photos, look up weather conditions, type in currency conversions, or do quick calculations, and all of this without leaving your keyboard. Use the arrow keys to move up and down your search results, use the spacebar to get a quick preview of the file, or drag and drop anything out of Spotlight Search into, let's say, an email, and it's attached. And finally, if you found the file you were looking for but want to see where it's located on your Mac, hit Command and R to reveal it in the Finder. And it's good that we've landed here, because what the File Explorer is on Windows, the Finder is on macOS. Initially, it might look very confusing and you have no clue where you are right now. So let's click View up here and select Show Path Bar. In case you've missed this feature from the File Explorer, it now shows you exactly where you are in the folder hierarchy, so you can jump back to any folder on your path and even drag and drop files into one of your previous folders. Now, the sidebar is similar to the one in File Explorer in a way that you can also pin important folders by dragging and dropping them there for quick access. To undo, simply right-click and select Remove from Sidebar. Within a folder, you've got 4 different viewing options. To quickly toggle between those view options, hit Command and 1, Command and 2, and so on. Despite of which one you choose, with any file selected, you can always hit the spacebar to get a sneak peek into the file's content without actually opening it in any app. This works with images, videos, audio files, PDF documents, so basically any file type. Now, in File Explorer, you've probably used Command and X to move your files, but on Mac, there's no such shortcut. In general, macOS is a very drag and drop focused software. So you can either drag your files to any folder and let go, which works especially great in the column view, or first copy the file and then instead of pasting it with Command and V, paste it with Option Command and V. This moves the file from location A to location B instead of duplicating it. Moving on Windows, apps have their own menus, always attached to the app window. On Mac, you've got the menu bar, which always runs along the top of the screen and adapts to each app you have opened. The app's individual settings can often be found by clicking on the app's name and then on Preferences. Also, there's nearly always a help category where you can type in any keyword to search for in the menu bar. But there's one thing that permanently stays the same, and that's the Apple menu. It gives you quick access to info about your Mac, system settings, the App Store, and restarting or shutting down your Mac. Alright, now as soon as you've opened a couple of apps, the question arises of how to easily switch between them. On Windows, the good old Alt plus Tab shortcut lets you see all your currently active apps and their respective windows. Likewise, on your Mac, you can use Command plus Tab to toggle between your open apps. Yet, this doesn't allow us to toggle between different windows of the same app. For that, you can use the shortcut Command plus tilde key. And to see all your active windows, there's Mission Control, aka Task View back on Windows. On a MacBook, swipe up with 3 fingers on the trackpad, or on a Mac keyboard, press the Mission Control icon. You've now got control over every window that's currently open on your Mac. And just recently, Apple has introduced Stage Manager, which is available to all Macs running at least macOS Ventura, and it might make navigating your apps and windows easier for you. You can toggle it on in the control center, and it always keeps the app you're working with front and center, and all other currently open apps neatly arranged along the left side of the screen. And all the previous ways to switch between apps will still work. Now, Windows does have an amazing feature that the Mac for whatever reason lacks, and that is snapping windows to the edges and corners of the display. On Mac, you can only manually resize windows, but a few tricks can help. Instead of only resizing one corner of a window, hold down Option whilst dragging the corner to resize the window from the center. Next, if you click and hold the green maximizing button, you can tile the window to the left or right side of the screen and choose a second app to open split view. Drag the slider in the middle to adjust each window's size. But I don't really like this view because of the lacking flexibility, so I do it another way. There are a few apps that can enable window snapping on Mac, and I highly recommend downloading one of them. I use the app Magnet, but there are also other and perhaps cheaper options like Rectangle or Better Snap Tool, which all do the same thing, giving you hot corners and keyboard shortcuts to instantly resize and arrange your windows. I've linked them in the video description down below. Now that we've got all those apps open, we need to close them again, and that's what drives many new Mac users insane. Because whilst on Windows you can simply press the red X button to quit an app, this doesn't work on Mac. Clicking the red circle only closes the active window and not the app itself. You can check this in the dock. All the apps with a small dot underneath them are still running in the background, potentially using up resources. To really quit an app and all of its open windows, simply click the app's name in the menu bar and select Quit, or get used to pressing Command and Q. You can then combine this with the app switcher shortcut Command and Tab to quit several apps at once. Now, even though you are now using a Mac, apps can still become unresponsive, meaning you're also unable to quit them the normal way. On Windows, you've probably used the Ctrl-Alt-Delete shortcut to open the task manager to then close non-responding apps. On Mac, the equivalent to this is the Force Quit option in the Apple menu. You can then see if there are unresponsive apps and select any of them to force quit. Or even quicker, right-click an app in the dock and hold down the Option key to instantly force quit this particular app. Okay, back to Windows and those familiar scroll bars that you likely expect whenever there's content to scroll down. Well, as usual, Mac does things differently. By default, scroll bars only appear when you start scrolling and vanish as soon as you stop. In between, you can grab them and drag to scroll up or down. However, if you prefer the Windows way and always like to have them present, open System Settings, again from the Apple menu, and in the Appearance section, enable Always Show Scroll Bars. This might just make your Mac feel a bit more like home. Speaking of home, you can actually use the Alt-Tab shortcut on your Mac to preview your windows and switch between them. This is all possible using a free and open source app. And if you want to know where to find it, you should watch this video next. Great side effect, you'll discover 9 additional completely free Mac apps that are actually useful, so you've got nothing to lose. Alright, I will see you there. Thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day.